We used the learning management system that collected a lot of different kind of data, practically almost everything that students or pupils made during their learning process. Pupils could follow their learning process through the amount of stars they collected after finishing certain materials or tasks in the learning management system. And teachers got those visualizations also on pupils' progress in the materials. Those were written reflections, so in different phases, kind of a tasks that pupils made during this study module. So at the beginning, they were making their goals and then monitoring, and at the end of the lesson, reflecting on their learning. So it was an open question, like, what are your goals for this lesson? And at the end, during the reflection phase, they were like, how did you manage to attain your goals? And what would you do next time different? Or what were you good at? During the space process, that was more individual. The learning management system heavily guided pupils' learning processes. So basically, teachers didn't need to do anything because it was so fluent, the whole learning process. And perhaps some individuals struggling needed teachers' help, so teachers could see it from the data because there wasn't, they could see that the pupils' progress, there wasn't any show of it. And but as said, there was only a little need for that support. I was just kind of getting idea that is this a way to go on, way to learn self-regulated learning in primary school through this kind of reflection tasks. And I think it is a good way. It gives them agency, pupils agency, because they, in my opinion, they've learned that they are responsible for their own choices during the learning. And also, I hope that at least in this research, it showed that pupils are not so good at explaining or making their own goals for learning. And that is something that should be more practiced. Some pupils seem to enjoy, as it was kind of a gamified learning experience, and they were individually learning and getting those stars as they finished their task. And this could be one way to help the pupils who are struggling, that perhaps some gamified experiences could kind of make them more engaged in their learning. Those were like tasks pupils needed to do before going on, and in different phases of the self-regulated learning process. So at the beginning, they made their own goals. So, and when they were working, they kind of monitored their learning. There were different kind of quizzes and stuff like that for monitor their own learning. And at the beginning, at the end of the lesson, they also made reflections on how they feel that they have attained their own goals. This was done in each theme, and there was in space module, there was 5 different themes. So pupils kind of many times reflected on their learning in different phases of the self-regulated learning process. We consider that as this was needed to do like many times, so little by little it would become like a metacognitive habit for pupils. to understand that they need to have their own goals, they need to monitor, and they also need to reflect on their learning. When they do the same kind of thing many times, little by little, they start to understand that this is something that covers almost every learning situations and needs to be done. There is also some pupils that are not so willing or are not so good at reflecting their learning and using those metacognitive prompts to enhance their self-regulated learning. They would perhaps need some teacher to help them to kind of start understanding why this is meaningful for me. Why do I need to do this? Because some of these pupils struggling were kind of frustrated that, oh my God, I need to do this again and not again. And they didn't feel as it was helpful for their learning or helpful for their understanding that this is kind of a learning to learn thing that you need to also be capable of doing. For teachers, it showed like nothing is happening, that the pupil is not doing anything because he or she is not progressing. And so teacher could see the pupil and ask what is going on. And for example, there might be some technological problems, even problems with the learning management system. So it is not collecting data or something like that. Or through that, pupils couldn't find the right spot in the learning management system, what they were about to do. In the space module, there was, of course, these common goals or common objectives, and after that, pupils could express what is their special interest in this team. And at the end of that theme, they were like evaluating how would they manage to attain their goals.